We're back, baby.
32. We took a week off because the news sphere was a bit on the slow side, but we're back.
Woo!
We're back. By the way, we've been trying to diversify some of the content here. So we've got a couple of vlogs that are down. So we'll link it below. There's one of us visiting the Blue Mountains. That was nice, right?
That was good.
You guys on your walk, yeah?
Yeah.
And your little kerfuffle's about 3-hour walks. I saw that.
Yep.
I still have a couple more. That isn't even the 3-hour walk one. That's the irony.
That's not even the 3-hour walk.
I have some good footage of you just absolutely losing it.
It's the heat factor,
The heat-
guys.
heat's pretty intense.
You gotta factor for the heat, and you gotta manage your own expectations about what's the finish line.
Exactly. Just you want to be able to see the end.
Multiply the time by 2. Anyway, what do we got? What do we got today?
Alrighty, this week we've got quite the mixed bag of topics. Some serious, some fun, some wacky. The whole enchilada.
The whole enchilada.
So, otherwise, a lot of things came through the week, and we'll kick it off actually with one that was a bit unexpected. Actually,
Was not on my bingo card this year.
yeah, for it
Neither
already
chances.
for 2024. None other than the Tucker Carlson and Putin interview.
Yeah, so this came out of nowhere. Tucker Carlson, a well-known, what do we call him? A personality, journalist? I don't even know, in the US, but he's pretty well known over there for his social commentary. And it turns out that he secured the interview of the century. Century might be a bit of a stretch, but with Vladimir Putin. And I think there was a lot of outcry, may not be the word, but a lot of surprise when this was initially announced, much to the fanfare of the Western media, because I think Vladimir Putin hasn't been interviewed by a Western media outlet in a long while, right? Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of fanfare pertaining to that. It got released. It's actually out on YouTube at the moment, and as at now, it is closing to 17 million views. So this thing is it is getting viewed at an enormous rate, and that doesn't even count the fact that when it initially got released, it was only released in X. So that was one of the main. So Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson have a kind of synergy going on, right? So where he releases a lot of his content via Tucker Carlson has his own site, and this was initially released on X2, and then I think later on Tucker Carlson released it on his YouTube channel. All which is to say that who knows how many millions of views that this thing has actually kind of got at the moment, right? So interestingly enough, this is a very long interview, right?
2 hours?
It's over 2 hours and 7 minutes, right? So I watched it in all of its glory, and I can tell you it
Over multiple viewings.
over multiple views, and unless you're in the space, it really does require a lot of attentive listening, right? But it's fascinating. Let me set the theater of actually the optics of this, right? So Tucker Carlson and Vladimir Putin are sitting in what I can only describe as the Russian White House. It's beautiful, it's opulent, it's got like all the trimmings and all that. And for 2 hours, these two are sitting and chatting back to back. So, I mean, it's not like I've seen a lot of Putin interviews, but he's with this headset, which I can only assume while Tucker is asking him questions in English. So he clearly doesn't understand English. I mean, like maybe in an interview setting like that.
It's the same as what they did with Letterman and Zelensky.
Okay.
So,
so I think there's no doubt that they understand English, but in a setting of like an interview that probably advanced and nuanced, you probably want like someone directing it real time, right?
Yeah.
So that's happening, and
without interrupting the flow of like the conversation and stuff.
And what's fascinating in the actual interview is obviously this is replayed. It's not live that we're watching it in, but like I was chatting to you after I finally completed it. After a while, when you watch an interview there, you know that he is talking in Russian because the edit is so well done, you kind of think that the person that's translating is Putin. Like if you listen,
the dub is coming into full effect.
And in fact, the dub was so well done that like quite a bit of the comments were just commandeering how well the dub was. Congratulations, bravo to the guy that was just doing his job. But anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. But so it starts off, and this is where, before the interview starts off, Tucker Carlson cuts a camera and just gives basically an intro before the interview, and says that the first 30 to 40 minutes of this interview will be Putin rambling, all right? Like he sets the tone, and I think because he knows
Much like what he used to do on his own TV show, right?
because what he knows is that, like, for a lot of people that are coming there, and obviously with a very highly American audience that's going to watch this, the whole world is going to watch this. They know that they're here specifically to ask about, they're hoping that Tucker is going to ask really probing questions pertaining to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, right? Mm-hmm. So that is, in essence, the first question that Tucker asks, albeit in a very quite nuanced sort of way, right? And what follows is a 30 to 40 minute rant, diatribe, whatever you want to call it. History lesson, which basically articulates and outlines the context of, and I'm probably going to get it wrong, but like it was very challenging for me to kind of follow it. I had to replay it a couple of times. But
what's the Cliff Notes? Yeah.
The Cliff Notes is it sets the context of the justification that Putin felt that there's obviously, synergies is the wrong word, an association between the Ukraine as well as Russia, right? And through the whole historical context, he's able to progressively articulate and set the context that there is a level of justification here that goes well beyond the elements of NATO and before America kind of came in, right? Yeah. So various times throughout this passage of the interview, you see Tucker trying to interject and cut in. And again, we had the conversation after I finished it. It's very hard to understand if the translations, I mean, I'm not Russian and I don't have any Russian friends, were exactly what Putin said, but he was able, and I've listened to a lot of podcasts and reactions after this, that this is a Putin tactic, right? So the guy is obviously very well trained in public speaking. He's done this a couple of times. Depending on who you speak to, there's a lot of propaganda being used, and he's very articulate in deflecting really harsh questions in a way that makes it feel like it's been answered when it kind of hasn't been answered, right?
It's the art of politics where you're saying a lot of things.
And he's very well.
You're saying a lot of things without saying much, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think through the interview, when you hear like a lot of people's criticisms of it, it was that Tucker Carlson went pretty soft on Putin. And for a lot of people that did tune in, especially from a Western audience, it was with view to really drilling down on the conflict in Ukraine, right? And I think this is where it comes to a couple of really interesting points. A lot of pundits have called this a podcast rather than an interview, right? And why the nuance is important is because, I don't know, like what interviews like for politicians have you like seen that are like over 2 hours? Like I don't like, not that I've seen a lot of political interviews, but 2 hours for an interview seems on the longer side, right?
Yeah.
It seems on the longer side.
What, for example, there was talk apparently that Biden was supposed to have an interview with like one of the major TV networks, but then he backed off because of the recent heat that he's been getting about, not being of the right state of mind and age to be able to articulate stuff. Yeah. It's like, you think about those type of interviews, or what immediately comes to mind for some reason is like the 60-minute style interview where it feels very pointed. Obviously it ends up getting edited and posted in a way that, really highlights some particular things. Yeah. But it's a very, like not a rapid fire, but it would feel like a grilling of sorts, right?
I think the 60 minutes analogy is pretty spot on. And the criticism that he really received was from mainstream journalists. Obviously, there's probably a level of jealousy because all these major news outlets would love to have this interview, and no doubt they've asked. But secondly, I think the reason this is important is because if you think of the 60 minutes style of interview, you're coming in and it's basically one element of topic that's going bang, 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 right? So people
with
were
a little
hoping,
bit of fluffy like in between, but then otherwise it's overall like...
People were hoping for this adversarial sort of nature that for Tucker to go in that hard to Putin, right? Yeah. Of which I say one of two things. One is,
do you want to die?
Like, please know who you're speaking with. And secondly, I think that's the main thing. Secondly, Tucker was trying to have like an intellectual debate with him here. And like there's some certain elements that I'll raise, which kind of led me to believe there. But I think the style of a Joe Rogan or the style of a long form podcast means that you
Sorry, I have to interject there. The fact that Joe Rogan is synonymous with podcast really
It is what it
freaks
is.
me out. Yeah.
is that you transition to different topics, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of that is, some of that is preconceived. And he literally had a piece of paper there, which means that he had some sort of set questions.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, and like this is how I had to, through 2 hours, this is the flow of the conversation. Russian history and context, Ukraine tensions, neo-Nazi emphasis, Nord Stream, chats about energy, the American dollar, relationship with China, Russia being a Christian leader in Russia. Does Putin see spirituality in the world? The development of AI and Elon Musk's contribution. And there's another one that I'm just not gonna, but like,
it's well rounded actually in the amount of topics.
But when
you can't really, without having watched this, right? But if I was Tucker, it'd kind of be like, it sounds like he was trying to get some level of questioning about Russia, Ukraine, couldn't get it. And therefore, like, you got to expand.
Maybe pivoted to other,
which is very synonymous
topics
with like a podcast sort of format. But here's what makes it just confusing. So Tucker has his like lower thirds and branding and emblem there. It's literally written Tucker Carlson Interview. And I think this is the disconnect that a lot of people were getting. And maybe the podcast interview thing is a minutia, whichever way you want to think about it. It is an interview of sorts. But Putin was able to really artfully dodge a lot of questions, which I think led to, Tucker Carlson basically transitioning to a different sort of form. And I think a lot of people kind of felt like it's very hard to get this guy being interviewed by a Western. Yeah.
Also probably to add to that, it's because it's his editorial stamp at the end of the day, right? It's not as if it's like what is it? NBC or news or whatever it is, right? So
yeah, was he on CNBC before he got let go? Like where was?
What's the other one?
Tucker Carlson.
It's the one with the red logo. The one that's synonymous for like a Republican kind of
Fox News.
That's the one.
Yeah.
It says he was a CNN commentator.
And CNN, yeah. Well, CNN's a bit more neutral.
I was trying to type quickly and I typed Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really sort of interesting. But another thing, like you're talking to Vladimir Putin, right? You know who you're talking with behind, right? There's got to be some level of respect to who you're talking about. And you're in Russia. You're literally sitting in the Kremlin.
It's read the room. It's understand the rumors that surround this guy. And it's just respect the
especially given
place.
Recent news about Alexei Navalny.
Yeah.
He's passed away.
Crazy. It's come straight after too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, passed away.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. But in my view, not knowing the full context of it, and I'm sure there's a lot of like theories and things around the internet. I think he really did try his best, right? But it evolved, the interview, the podcast, whatever you want to call it, evolved in such a way that made it very challenging for him to go back and really probe there. Much less, I think he wanted Putin to speak. And I think, interestingly enough, after this interview, Putin was interviewed by, Russian journalists. And he said that he actually thought that he was expecting a much harsher interview from Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Which is ironic, and it's easy to say in hindsight. And he actually said that he was prepared for it. And again, just based on how, I don't know the word, how smooth Putin was with his transition in questions and stuff like that. And he's a very accomplished operator, right? Like in that there were some very pointy questions that Tucker was asking him. And at no time did he feel overly pressured to present an answer really quickly. And I say this because in a lot of times there were pauses. They were like literally thinking dynamically on the fly and coming with an answer, which leads me to believe that it was a very sort of organic interview or an organic conversation. And I think as a good interviewer, a good podcaster, you've got to read the room, right? Like Putin is, to me, is akin to like an A+ fencer, right? Like you're trying to nail this guy, but he's just deflecting it very well. And
it's
like
all on the wrist.
Extremely well, to the point that you're like, okay, you know what? I can go make this dirty and I can just go back. Why are you avoiding this? Like, sorry, this is not. And he did versions of that, albeit very nuanced and very like civil. Let's call it civil.
Yeah.
But this is what Putin's apparently known for. Like he provides answers, like you said, very a politician, and he provides answers that probably don't get into it, but gives you enough that you felt like it's been answered, right?
Yeah.
And I think interestingly enough, just to kind of conclude this, the part that I don't think is getting a lot of like airplay with a lot of like media sort of pundits was the fact that in the interview, and this is the last question, amongst the last questions that Tucker Carlson asks, he actually tried to negotiate the release of Evan Zhirosky. That's probably a wrong pronunciation of the word, of the name. But basically, this is a guy who's apparently been seen as a spy, and he was caught in Russia. Apparently, he's a really young sort of bloke, and for like business trading or something like that. And he was literally trying to say that, hey, look, this guy, he's not even a spy in the truest sense, not working for CIA and all that. Like whatever he did that. Why don't you try and release that? And I thought that if you're nailing a guy, i.e. Tucker Carlson, for not going hard in, it's a pretty ballsy thing to do and then like interview and nail it there. And as impressive as I thought that was, I thought it was just, again, very impressive how Putin was able to parry it off. And he basically said that, yeah, I'm not going to be able to articulate it very well, but he effectively said that it's not like, regardless of what delineation of spy and all that, be it like at the highest level or lower level,
There's still some level of
there's
threat.
some level of that. It's being negotiated between the two countries.
Yeah.
And we've got to let this play out its course. And I'm not saying, and this is me paraphrasing what Putin's saying, that he's not going to come back to the US. That is an option on board. But again, like it's a very, like, I just marvel at the way he's able to just, we're talking about human life, not negotiating, but talking about that he's able to use words in such a cool and calm sort of manner. And I think it was just befitting of the whole sort of interview. I just found it really fascinating.
It's just it's all I can think of for some reason, it's like, oh, Tucker Carlson, multi-hyphen then. Like,
Put on his LinkedIn.
Journalist, media personality, the negotiator.
The negotiator.
Add that to the lower third.
Yeah.
And this was the last bit, right? So after Putin answered that question, Tucker basically ended it, right? In the sense that he literally said, "Thank you, Mr. Putin," right? Thank you for the interview. And then after Putin said, so the last question, the last conversation that they had was about trying to get the release of this hostage, right? And then Putin said, "I just want you to know that in operations like this between two countries, the US and Russia, we've got to make sure that this is communicated in a cool and calm manner." And then I told you this, literally when he said that, and this is after he said, "Thank you, Putin," to end it. Yeah. Tucker just like loses it. And you have to go.
He went into rage
You have
mode.
to, no, and I'm saying that as a hyperbole, but if you go back to this point, his demeanor, he goes like, wait, hold up, right? Because he's pulling on the word cool and calm, right?
Yeah.
I can't help think that in the same way that you're talking about that, we could have a similar conversation or a peace negotiation between the war between Russia and Ukraine. And that's just interesting because he's ended it. And this is the point that I was saying. He was trying to intellectually find a way to go back to each point in conversation, but to try and go back to the Russia and Ukraine situation, of which America is highly involved in there. But he just could not find any openings. It probably slipped away through. And even after he's concluded it, after he saw a little bit of an opening, he says like, I gotcha. This is my moment. And again, he was able to brush it off and basically say that we are ready to negotiate. It's on the table of Ukraine and the US. But yeah, it's actually a really fascinating interview.
This was before the time, but it's very much like, in overtime and the Super Bowl game and feeling like the Chiefs because they got the try at the end of whatever it's called, whatever it's called.
Bonus
at the
content.
End of,
Bonus content.
At the end of it, right? Because it's like, I got you. I got you.
20 minutes. And in true Putin form, he ended the interview. So I can't remember what he said, but how he kind of paraphrased it and articulated it. No, it was really poetic, right? He was actually talking about, like, remember how I was saying that he was not commandeering. He was communicating to Tucker, and I think this is another thing, right? Like, we can see the war through our glasses, and any war is terrible, right? Because there's casualties on both sides. But he was articulating like basically a scene between Ukrainian and Russian fighters, right? And he was saying that these Russian fighters had basically got the Ukrainian soldiers cornered, and the Russian soldiers were saying, "Hey guys, don't fire back, and you're gonna live, right? Obviously, they're still gonna get captured as prisoners, but you're gonna live." And the Ukrainian fighters say, "We're not going to do that because Russians never surrender," right? And the reason he's saying that is because he's saying that there is a strong affiliation of being Russian within strong factions of, not factions, but a strong percentage of the Ukrainian population. And he basically said this is akin to like a civil war, which means that the conversations that you're having and that they're much more deeper than you know. And I think that in that 30 to 40 minute diatribe that he was trying to have, he was trying to explain something which is inherently a lot more complex than we possibly know. And there's no doubt that the US guys know versions of this, right? Like they know it. Then you can't, you can't
go
fuel
in there.
a war not knowing any elements of that. There's scholars of history that operate on both sides. But I think there's one thing knowing it and one thing living it. Because when that story gets told, it really speaks to, shit, man, this is a lot more multifaceted if you have people that are fighting, like Ukrainians fighting against Russians and saying stuff like this. Now, I say this is assuming I believe what he says is true, right? He could be lying. Propaganda is a real thing. Like, it's a very, and at that story, he kind of ended it and said, he's like, the church, and he was saying basically that the soul of Russia kind of lives on, or that's a real element in this war. And then he went to Tucker, I think this is a nice place to end, don't you think? Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, dude. That's boss ass shit.
That's some judo like freaking magic where you're like,
dude, that is like,
we are done.
Jedi mind tricks.
He's basically,
that's what I was trying to say. Jeez.
When I want this to end, I will end. However, the tenure of this interview, I want it. He was basically in control of it the whole entire time. And unless you are outright adversarial, and maybe it goes into like not a yelling match, but like he's not going to yell, like a really grimy match, which I'd be intrigued to see, which I don't think you'd probably get an interview with him. He's going to win in a lot of these exchanges. And I think Tucker, lived to fight another day, because there's no doubt he wants another one. I mean, 17 million carry.
Yeah, best out of 3.
Round 2.
Anyway,
Fight.
Interesting interviews. Check it out.
Yeah.
If you've got 2 hours and 7 minutes to spare.
Yep. Set aside some time. Alrighty. Well, let's move on to something that we were saying that's a bit wacky. In sports, has anyone heard about the enhanced games?
Yeah, boy.
Yep.
Where did this come from, man? This is just like nuts, eh?
Otherwise,
it's some
steroid Olympics.
It's this guy who's
Is he Australian?
No, I don't.
Something D'Souza, right?
I don't. Oh, I don't.
Okay,
know,
so the Enhanced Games is an event proposed as a rival to the Olympics, where the use of PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs, would be legal and regulated. The project has attracted significant attention and controversy, with the Silicon Valley billionaire Peter Thiel being one of the major backers. His name is Aaron D'Souza, right? Aaron D'Souza. Yeah. Okay. Here's my question. Firstly, why? Like, seriously, why?
We must let everyone play fair in an advanced type of version of all sports.
Okay. Well, so the creators of the Enhanced Games, I checked out their website, and so you want to hear
They have a website?
Of course they do.
Their mission regarding
Let's
this
go.
thing. Okay, so let's see. So the official website's mission is to, and I quote, push back against anti-science dogma purported by the incumbent sporting leagues, as they wish that drug use in sport should be a demonstration of science instead of cheating.
This is stupid.
What?
This is stupid. Okay, so this guy,
What?
he's a doctor, right? D'Souza. He holds a PhD in intellectual property law. So he's a lawyer, not even a scientist. Previously worked as a lawyer and VC, venture capitalist. Okay, so check this out.
Just make money, man.
Okay, check this out. So I saw an interview with him and Piers Morgan, right?
Yeah.
And Piers asked the natural question, why, right? And to which he said, why? The first statement of justification that Dr. Aaron D'Souza basically said is because science is real. No joke, literally verbatim. This is what he led with. Science is real, and then the justification is we can push human performance to the peak. Blah blah blah. People are already cheating in the Olympics. Why don't we just put it out there? And like he's clearly an intellectual, but there's no way like. Piers is shaking his head in disbelief. There's a former Olympian there, I can't remember, that was part of the panel, who's also saying, what is this guy talking about? But Piers said something to which this guy interjected straight away, which basically led me here. Dr. D'Souza said that the Olympic Games has had a monopoly of power. And Piers basically said, so you want a slice of this?
Yeah.
If he's a venture capitalist and a lawyer, he wants a slice of this. But my question is one thing. So the theoretical, and he actually had Piers was saying like, I can't see a scenario where this is safe, right? Like if you allow people to like jack up with steroids or anything, because steroids is only one thing. There are millions of things that you could use as performance enhancers, right? Yeah. People are just going to take it to the limit, to the point, where does it end? Like you could actually like jack up yourself and die, right? Yeah. To which this guy said like, hold up, well, we use performance enhancing every day. That coffee that you're drinking there is an example of a stimulant, right? But that is, I have to say, it's.
He has a point, yeah, but that's within thresholds of what is acceptable, right?
I'm not disagreeing, right? But the whole, there's no doubt that there's a monetary component there. But my question is, if you knew, and funnily enough, conscience of Australian swimming, James Magnuson, said that he'd get, for $1 million, he'd get juice to the gills. Come on, Dan. You don't need to do that. To come back and try it. But like, why would we watch, like seriously, firstly, let me just keep it real. Olympics is great, yeah? But unless you're into these sports, no one's watching track and field outside. I'm not gonna lie. Like, let's just keep it. I'm really not gonna lie, right? Like, it's every 4 years, and it's important. It's very important, right? These are a lot of times where certain countries, like some of the Arabic countries for weightlifting, some of the random countries. Fiji, we won our first ever one for rugby sevens. It's a really important thing, right? And I'm just talking about the small countries. But independent of that, we are not watching this past this, right? So this is specifically seen as a competition to Olympic. It's not that they want to do a rugby thing and like get all these guys on roids, right? So their competition is the Olympics. So they want to get that market. But say theoretically, I don't know Usain Bolt, like what's the fastest he ran? Let's just call it sub 9 seconds, right? Say we watch this enhanced Olympics.
20, it's like 20 something seconds.
No, 9 seconds for 100 meters, isn't it?
Let me see.
Yeah. Usain Bolt. Anyway, while we're getting fact checked, what I'm saying is, actually, no, I do need this number.
In 100 meter sprint at 9.58 seconds.
It's sub 10, right? Like, I remember this. So let's just say we watch the Enhanced Olympics where someone does it for 7 seconds, right? So what? Like seriously, optically, it's going to look the same. We're talking about 2 seconds. I'm not going to be impressed about it at all. So why? Because of science? The hell? Let me tell you another thing where this just falls flat completely, right? If I take steroids and an African American dude takes steroids, I can tell you who is going to receive the steroid better because there's genetic elements that are simply outside.
Science.
This is science.
But what I'm saying is their justification is putting like PED, let's call it PED use, out in the open, levels the playing field. I'm like, Babu, that's literally not how science works, all right? There's a reason I can bench 100 kilos and I will not look as jacked as Usain Bolt because they receive it better, okay? It's the same thing. It's the reason those black guys run like 20,000 miles and you don't see an Australian guy doing it because the genealogy is not like set for that. And it's these idiosyncrasies that make the Olympic Games well. Mm-hmm. But the main thing about the Olympic Games is what? Apart from like winning and all that sort of stuff, it's about the spirit, right?
Yes, the spirit.
The spirit of the Olympic Games.
Competitive
talent,
spirit.
Their hard work.
The value. What are the values? It's bloody, something about equality, something about higher, faster, baby.
What I don't get is how is Peter Thiel...
Well, what is it? Hold on. What is it? What's it, Kat?
So it says the three values of Olympism are excellence, respect, and friendship.
Yeah.
Were to encourage effort, preserve human dignity, and develop harmony.
Dude, like,
You love to see it.
it's just, it makes, like, if you want to do this, do a okay, just letting you know, our dog's just going nuts over there, but so there'll be a background noise. But like, even, she's outraged about this.
Yeah.
She
is
is,
outraged
rightfully.
about this.
And
My thing is, if you want to do like a steroid games, why don't you do it on like fighting? Like something that like would just dramatically change it. Apart from like why are you going for the Olympics? Just it doesn't.
Well, because there's more. So the other argument that they were saying, and I don't think this was actually a part of the organization's intent, right? They were talking about how these sports players hit a peak up until a certain point of time, and then their career goes away. Like,
yeah.
and then they're having to do normal civilian life, be it become a laborer or pick up what they would have
Coach or something,
what they would have done if they weren't involved in
An
sports,
athlete,
or
yeah.
or be something related to the sports, right? And they're talking about this idea of like you're able to have like a second life and earnings as a sports person, because it's also quite notoriously, it's either you have sponsorships or you're like, there's that media aspect as well of being a sports person, when that's how you can make money, but everyone else is kind of, when you're in the middle or the bottom end, it's not really sustainable.
Yeah.
And it's probably that aspect as well. It's kind of recognizing, well, if they've got that ability to do stuff, like what's the value that we place upon it? Because if they're supposed to be the greatest of the greatest,
Yes.
that can do this thing, then surely they should be compensated in that way.
Exactly.
And that's an interesting kind of like twist, right?
And it's like, of course, rightfully, the World Anti-Doping Association are rightfully against this, calling it a dangerous and irresponsible concept that would be an affront to clean sport and endanger the lives of athletes.
I just think that, okay, say you're an athlete there, right? And you won a gold medal.
Doesn't it cheapen the value of
So you're gonna go to your grandma and like, Grandma, I want a gold medal.
It
Take
enhanced.
on drugs.
It enhanced.
It just.
I was the best cheater out of all of them.
I just. I don't.
I demonstrated science.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Or I hit my absolute peak that was out of my reach.
Yes.
Without.
That was induced by external.
by PEDs.
Yes.
The other thing is like, what brands would actually sponsor this? Like, I'm just so confused.
There would be. There are 100%.
Yeah, for the steroids itself,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Pharma, yes. But like, apart from that, what? Like
Red Bull.
Dude, like, I'm sorry. If you feel dirty about giving this any airplay, this just sucks. I'm sorry. Like, it makes no sense. Like, it's a cash grab. If you were to do this, the Olympics is definitely not like who I'd take aim at. I'd take aim at another league. I don't know if it's fighting or anything, which people have constantly used steroids or like performance enhancing.
Well, that's probably it's already an error. Like how, okay, I'm just trying to find like a similar comparison to what these guys are trying to do, right? Arguably UFC is probably the closest comparison, right?
In terms of what, sorry?
If you think of like normal martial arts where it's non-combative, which is in the Olympics, right?
Yep.
Where that's a certain there's certain thresholds in that it's even when the first time I saw UFC, and it's the concept of like you actually get hurt.
Yep.
And how you're condoning actual kind of, it's not, they don't think it's violence, but it looks violent, right? Where you're gonna bash someone, and especially in an environment where back at that time where king of hitting was a big problem in Australia, and like obviously there's different violence happening in all different places, right?
Yeah.
Where people were saying like, nah, that's not good, and then all of a sudden it just goes away because then people just start adopting it, and there's like, they respect the art of it. I'm being devil's advocate here, right?
No chance.
Can you like imagine if it does get to the point where it's like, maybe that's the play. Like, ironically, anyone who wanted to be you're thinking about, these are the people that didn't even make the Olympics, right? These are people that had the potential in like high school, right? and then they thought, yeah, I could have, bloody reached that height in what you call it? What's the, not javelin, the one where you high jump, like where you got the stick and then you like
pole vault.
Pole vault, that's the one. There we go. Jeez. Can you imagine? And then it's like
they're trying to take a shortcut basically to be like, I want to achieve the best, so I'm going to do it by cheating.
Like, I'm looking at this site. It's nuts how far they're going.
Right?
They're basically saying that ancient Greeks used performance enhancement. Roman gladiators used stimulants and hallucinogens. Bro, Aaron, just get off the crack.
Were you there?
No.
Oh my gosh, this guy.
Aaron, get off the crack, man. Like, seriously. This is a cash grab, or they're trying to make it. I'm actually disappointed in Peter Thiel. I'm sorry, mate. Like, there are so many other, good ideas out there. I don't see this as a good idea. I think we're like, this is a side topic, but
it's spectatorship. It's just being able to kind of.
I think we're getting to the point where like we've just got to ask ourselves, just because something is
you
new,
could do it.
You can do it. Does not mean that you need to propagate it because in essence, I mean, I got to ask you, Dr. Aaron, like, would you want your kid to win like one of these enhanced gold medals? And he'll say yes, because he'll say science is real. All right, buddy.
Keep
sure.
science's name out your mouth.
All right, I'm done with this. I'm done with it.
Just random, eh?
It's just,
Legit. Anyway, enough of that wackiness. Enough of that silliness. All right. Well, you mentioned it earlier. The Super Bowl was in the previous weekend, which was on Monday for us in the Australian zone. So of course, it was for most people, especially us who don't really watch football, American football.
we do it for Taylor.
Yeah, of course there was the game, but we're really just gonna cover, the
halftime show,
and the trailers. But let's start with Usher Bowl first.
Baby, let me love you down.
Okay, hold up. This one split down the line 50-50. So out of 10, rate it. Number, man. Justification is later. No, out of 10. Come on, Chauncey. Out of 10.
I'll give it an 8.
Yeah. Okay, 8. I'm surprised you said that.
But no, like it's.
Wait,
I'll go into it. Yeah.
7.5.
Oh, that's a high score. I thought you guys hated it.
No, it's.
There was some criticism.
It's just degrees. Like it's okay.
It was
what's
the
your
initial
score?
reaction.
Yours
8, but like I thought you were gonna go 6 or something like that.
No.
It was the initial reactions, but like afterwards, being able to let it sit.
But
But also, it's still it's kind of how do I say this? It's. I don't want to use the enhanced games analogy, but you just think
Unbelievable.
the expectations. No, it's definitely not that. The expectations that were had for this, I think,
were pretty high.
Were pretty high and maybe greater. And
I think that's the mark of a good act, right? Like you really expect it to be there.
Yes, but then ultimately you get let down.
Okay, so let me. I'm gonna list. You just tell me better or worse, right? I'm going to list the last 5 performers and you tell me, was Usher's better or not? Rihanna.
I liked Rihanna's though because
answer the question. Don't substantiate. Better or worse?
Objectively, Usher's was better because
I agree.
because of the because of the content,
production and all.
But Rihanna's had a better flow.
Okay.
Yes.
So better. Eminem, Dr. Dre. That was pretty big. Better or worse?
I don't like being pigeonholed in this
Better
way.
or worse? We can.
But that's for different reasons, right?
Better or worse?
Like I would still say Usher
I agree.
for that one.
I agree. The Weeknd. Oh my God, did he perform?
I don't remember that.
Yes, he did. The one when he's rowing
okay,
through
so
the
definitely
maze.
better, right? Like, yeah, I think I remember, but
I don't remember.
It was that unmemorable, right? So yeah. Okay. So yeah, including Usher, that was the last 5 one. I think I love this, man. I think, but
Lady Gaga's was better.
I can't remember Lady Gaga's. I had but
the Coldplay, Beyonce, Bruno Mars.
Yeah, Coldplay, Beyonce, Bruno Mars was really good.
That's been like the benchmark for me for like the past 10 years.
Aside from Prince.
Prince was the best
Michael
for me.
Jackson.
But
Michael Jackson. Yeah.
But I talked to a lot of people that didn't like it, and I think you're in the camp of either if you like Usher, he can do no wrong, right? Like, and he didn't really.
No, I like Usher, but it just wasn't the optimal flow that it could.
We were expecting.
Like there were some songs that were featured. The wrong part of the song was featured.
Or it's only
Just-
like a second.
Yeah,
we let
and
him
it's
decide
just
that.
like, why is it like that? Like, and it just felt like I was left begging for more.
Yes.
In the sense that it just felt like, oh, I was just getting into that song, and then we got jump to another one, and it's just kind of
Yeah, but he's got so many songs.
Okay.
That's the thing.
I got the official set list for it.
Let's
So
go.
let's run through it beat by beat.
yeah.
So of course, the surprising start was "Caught Up,"
That was really good. I really liked that.
Yeah, I like
underrated song.
like
Underrated
that.
song, very
I
good.
like that.
It went into "You Don't Have to Call."
Very good.
I love that.
Banger.
No one's gonna say no to that.
Yes. "Superstar."
I love that. Like a lot of people, but that you got to know that. Like obviously he has a residency, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's tweaked his set list. He knows that all the girls will. That's for that one. I've seen him do multiple times. He gets a girl,
Yeah.
and that's when he does the inappropriate
yeah.
gyrating. But I love Superstar. But anyway, go. I can see why he did it. A lot of people might not know it, but like if you're a fan,
"Love in This Club."
yeah, that's a banger.
Everyone in
Okay, can I tell you?
everyone in unison just started bouncing.
Can I tell you my Love in This Club story? I remember I was working at the Easter show is so random, and they were playing, and I was like, I wasn't even clubbing it.
I had
just
I had a
off.
friend who loved that song so much.
Everyone
like,
loved that song. Sorry, can I just cut it? I saw this TikTok, and it was millennial moms.
Yeah.
And so the Super Bowl, it was that bit where they had Lil Jon 5 to 9, and then the millennial moms like, is that Lil Jon? Just like turned down for what? Old moms are trying to twerk.
All right, what's next on the set list?
After that, Alicia Keys comes in.
My boo, classic.
And my boo.
Now, this is one of my criticisms.
Here we
I
go.
felt like, and I get why you want to give that special cameo space with their own flavor of song, but those seconds could have been used
For another song.
for a song to get it to build it up to a better point. That's all I'm saying.
You're looking at this from the perspective as if you went to like a concert. That's not what it is, though. It's meant to give you like a tidbit.
Yeah, the right tidbits.
You gotta leave Alicia alone. By the way, so apparently, we didn't hear it because it was edited in like real time.
No, I've heard
you heard it?
I've heard a video of
The
it.
unedited
Can you send
one.
it?
Where,
What, was she just off or something?
Yeah, she
She
Alicia could
pitched
not
low.
find her keys.
Saint Hoax has it on Instagram where they they always show what happened and they find like a meme that like
Yeah.
relates to that, but basically she couldn't hit a note
Is it the
right
beginning?
it was at the
So-
beginning.
so
So,
that's-
in
yeah,
fairness,
it
if
makes
you're
sense.
running cold
Yeah.
and into it, it's going to be
But in
hard,
fairness,
right?
as a Grammy multi-award winning singer, she should be warming up. But
Anyway,
look,
but yeah, it's pretty
I
funny.
was so that means that it's live, but it's got a delay on it, right? I mean,
Well, no, this is the other thing. I think it did come out that way, but because you're in the hype
Oh,
of the
yeah,
performance,
sorry.
you don't
It didn't
read
register.
it.
but the
Yeah.
recording, like in YouTube, you won't hear it now
It's
because
been
they've dubbed
edited
it.
now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So then obviously after that, it started when we were younger, you were
Track.
mine.
All right, cut. And then after that, of course, Confessions Part 2.
Gotta do it.
The clock was pretty good. Mm-hmm. The visual of the clock and that. That was pretty good.
After that, Nice and Slow.
Track.
That's like day oneers.
And then Burn. Of course.
Gotta let it burn.
With her, as she came in with her guitar.
By the way, so
Off of You Got It Bad.
Do not say it.
I've been reading guitar forums and they agree with me. It was definitely like synced. It wasn't live.
Unbelievable.
It wasn't live. Either
That's
that,
a different
either
tangent.
that or there was a heavy delay, which makes sense
I
because
think
she
there's
doesn't
a
have
delay. Because it's like you got to think of the stadium and the source of how big it is and
No,
stuff like
I
that.
agree. Dude, she can actually play. So
Of
like,
course.
I'm not gonna.
Anyway,
Burn going into You Got It Bad.
like
But-
back
Oh.
to back. That was probably the best part.
Yes.
What the?
Oh no, that was too much.
Nah, that was great.
And I know that like
That was meme
the other thing is
central.
like he's a peak performer, right? And this is the other gripe this is the big gripe I had that contributed to while I
gripe
gave
on
it a
Usher, man.
good score, There was some bits that was just lacking. The audio levels let him down.
Yeah, dude.
Right?
Like
Not and aside from the fact that obviously he is dancing, he is gyrating, he is rollerblading, and all of these things, right? Where obviously that's going to take like
everything
the air out of it, right? And of course he has to take.
but the audio levels is to do with his producer, not him.
No,
right?
I get that, but he has to take specific moments to. That's why.
Breathe,
He is having to do those dances so he can breathe and stuff, which arguably is counterintuitive. But anyway, you got to be sexy, you know. But then
Still sexy.
the audio levels did let him down in certain parts of the bit where it
sounded
exacerbated
like
the
didn't-
sound like he was out of breath.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
anyway,
You're such a critique, man. Like you were generally thinking those thoughts while you're watching it.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
You saw the chat. It was a play-by-play.
It was.
You guys are wasting. And I was going like this. It's like, where's my keys? I lost my keys. You know what? He did that shirtless one, knowing that it was a viral moment.
But also it's efficient because he was going to go into a costume change, and that makes sense. And it's on brand. It's on brand too. Like the U necklace. What's
Yes.
that? That's circa.
Listen.
What you call it? I'm blanking out on the album. 807,
Yeah.
8701.
Yeah.
You know.
Listen,
Yeah.
I need to get in
All the
whoever's
use.
Usher's skincare is.
Hold on,
yeah?
and then what are we
What's
ending
the
off
set
with?
list?
All right. No, just 1, 2, 3, 4 more songs to then Bad Girl.
Yep.
OMG, which was
Yep.
pretty short, I felt.
Exactly. And then I saw this guy come and I was like, who the hell is that? And I'm like, oh, that's
Will.i.am.
supposed to be Will.i.am.
That's supposed to be Will.i.am. Yeah, I had the same thought as well. I was like, oh, okay. Like the stage started filling up, and then of course it came with Lil Jon turned down for what?
Yeah. I was really disappointed that they didn't play Lovers and Friends.
It doesn't fit. What are you
It
talking
does
about?
fit. It does
It doesn't
fit.
fit.
That's in another concert.
It would not fit.
Tell me.
And then
again.
of course ended with Yeah.
Yeah, it was always going to
Always
end with
gonna
yeah.
end
It was
with
always
yeah.
gonna- And you know what? When Yeah plays now, I hate it. But because you've just heard that song so many times, right? But when he played it, I was like,
Oh, it took you way back, right? I can literally see the music video right now.
yeah. And also, he was wearing
Yeah.
the snapback and readjusting it.
Yep.
And
Peace up.
He was wearing like a
A-Town. Dude.
jumbo costume, and even with the jumbo costume, it had to have abs on it because he just wants you to know. In case you didn't know, I have abs, but it's just not showing.
You know the meme is comparing it to Dodgeball, like Ben Stiller's costume in Dodgeball. It's pretty funny.
Nah, I'm sorry. That I really enjoyed that, and I think it's just a testimony that like
You know
Usher.
what song should have been there, I think,
What?
but wasn't there, and it's again, it's hard to find
Was it
time.
Friends?
Well, if we're talking about recent songs, right? Like
of his recent
DJ's
stuff.
Got Me Falling in Love Again, like that would have
Oh, yeah.
fit.
Yeah.
That would have fit.
Yeah. That's like the OMG era.
I'm surprised he didn't try and put one of his like new ones, but like I've heard.
Yeah, the album
I've heard
that
the new
dropped on
album.
the
It's
day.
not
Well, that's
that-
the whole point, right?
Yeah.
You know what it should have been, but it's hard to find. You make me wanna. It should have been in there
Yeah.
somewhere, but it's too hard, right? He could have literally done the
The
dance
dance,
to that.
So
too,
he's
and
got
then
so many songs.
Dance
Like
break.
it's actually incredible.
Exactly.
Anyway,
U-turn.
Yeah. I mean, but otherwise, look, it was still enjoyable.
nah, it was great.
It was still
I'm sorry, it was
enjoyable.
great.
It's just
It
that
was great.
Just little things to pick out, but
yeah.
look, I feel like it was a long time coming. At least we did get to see him do the performance.
Yes.
So you love to see it.
And look, at least we were saved.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, Beebs, for not coming. So then
So
that's less time that
didn't he say? So
wasted.
what would they have sung? Like
Oh,
Apparently he's
Somebody
on
to
the
Love.
remix Somebody to Love.
what?
Yeah.
Like
And just because, Usher discovered him.
Yeah.
So
I can't believe.
that's the
I heard
connection.
that he didn't want to come because he wasn't quote unquote feeling it.
yeah.
Come on,
which,
bro.
which
Like,
fair.
seriously.
That's
Fair.
fair.
and
it's
in
not
ca-
fair. Like
in
he fucking
character.
discovered you, bro. Like come on, man.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
But,
But
You-
he has a condition.
you know?
Yeah.
He's a condition.
Yeah.
What condition?
yeah,
He-
something's wrong with his face, right?
Yeah, he has a condition that's
mask on,
stopping
bro.
him from
He's like numb on-
performing.
He's like numb on on like a side of his body.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. But also he doesn't need
Yeah,
it.
revealed he had Ramsay Hunt syndrome and it left half of his face paralyzed, which is
Yeah.
why he's not on
Fair
tour
enough.
anymore or
Fair enough.
for the foreseeable
I
future.
discovered you, bro. But yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Where would
he
that have
wasn't
fit
feeling-
though? Where would that have fit for like just that little
He
bit of
just
time?
wants all the white folk to get back into it. And don't forget the rollerblading, because the rollerblading was great. I
That was
loved
good.
it. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Cultural.
Cultural appropriation. A lot of
Yeah.
people did not know that the
Here we go.
impact of rollerblading.
Here we
It
go.
was fun.
You. Yeah. Otherwise, peace
And
up.
the pole dancers. Peace out, ATL. We see you. Working hard for the money.
Okay, so like just gonna segue past that. Who's our bets for next year's? Obviously, that's a bit too hard to predict
Taylor
at this
Swift,
point in
man.
time. But
Taylor
like,
Swift.
well, if it's like a wedding,
If
then
if those
Because
four,
they would have been together.
if those
for-
guys are there, okay.
yeah.
But apart from Taylor Swift, who? Let's see, who are the biggest acts?
who's due? So who's due? Ariana's due because she's got an album coming out. But that's
Yeah.
that's like
I feel like
Would you
Dua.
Dua would be
Dua
good.
would be.
Well, we
a good
gotta
performance.
play it forward, right? Because it's good. It's like so Usher. This is the other thing. Like, remember there was all this chat about potentially NSYNC were gonna rejoin. It was gonna be like a '90s.
I mean, they've done a
regroup of
very.
stuff.
It's been very heavily
And then Usher
urban
was,
led, right?
and then Usher was very like not last minute, but
it
like,
was towards like the we should have known by now.
then,
we,
yeah.
we discussed this on an earlier episode.
Yeah.
back last year.
So and then obviously he had an album to plug and all of that, and it probably helps that like Apple was
doing
sponsoring
yeah, and he's doing
it
it.
and all
But
that.
the last, it would be an Apple artist. I think Dua works because the last four artists are like all R&B, hip hop, pretty urban skewed.
Pop,
Surely they would
kind
try
of.
and change it a little bit. I think the Apple connection is really big actually because they
Used to be
they
Pepsi,
sponsor it.
yeah.
They also
Yeah.
sponsor it. So who's doing a residency over there? Adele? Isn't Adele
Adele.
doing a residency? Adele just doesn't have like bangers. Like you're not gonna like
Well-
like you're not gonna do that.
Cause they're more. Some of them are more slower songs. I mean, she has bangers, but they're
yeah.
more
Well,
slower songs.
The other rumor, maybe this is a segue into the other favorite part of Super Bowl, where it's the ads and the movie trailers and whatnot.
Should've been Kanye,
So there was
man.
rumors that Beyonce is possibly going to do the Sphere residency after U2.
But Beyonce's already done it, man. Give it to someone else.
No, but you know,
Cause that's right. Because she's adding in her. She announced her next album, Act 2 of Renaissance, because it follows the theory that you're doing the dance of Texas Hold'em.
Yeah.
So Renaissance is planned to be a 3-act structure where the first album honors house music, second album honors
House music?
country
I'm getting
music,
chills.
and third act will honor rock music. All of these genres that were cultivated by Black people. So
getting
it's
chills.
Beyonce
Woo!
claiming it all back, and so it's gonna pop off. Like I know country usually isn't my cup of tea, but look, it's Beyonce. Like already,
She can do nothing wrong.
yeah, like Daddy
I really-
Lessons, like that
Yeah.
that sort of sphere stuff.
I really like
See.
I really like the Verizon ad too. It was good.
yeah, cool. The Tony Hale going to play an assistant.
Yeah.
It was pretty. Yeah, it was pretty cool. She did break the internet. Truly.
Truly. It's probably one of the better ads.
Yeah, the memorable ones at
Yeah.
least. Yeah, you love to see it. Okay, well then let's continue on that direction. So, of course, a lot of ads played during Super Bowl. A lot of trailers are dropped, and one of the most the biggest ones that came to our attention was Deadpool and Wolverine. Marvel's coming back in swinging.
You love the guy that's breaking the fourth wall again. Welcome back,
And saying, I am Marvel Jesus.
Mr. Reynolds.
We love to see it. And bringing back Hugh Jackman. And I believe that trailer actually broke a record as
really?
being the fastest to reach a certain 100 million of views. Which
Deadpool.
rightfully so.
It's one of it's been a while,
22
hey.
million,
It's
Jesus
been a while, hey, since there's been like a movie that, you know, has been hyped up and you think that it just can't do wrong. Arguably, like
Especially in Marvel's playbook.
yeah.
As of
in
recent
recent
times.
times. But it's
Yeah.
just it's it was the sizzle as well, because obviously it's not the official trailer. It's like the it's the
just a
first
teaser.
one
Yeah.
that gives a little bit enough that says, you know, kind of
It's happening.
It's happening.
We've done it.
We figured out, you know, how we're gonna deal with this with like, because obviously Marvel is notorious for, I guess, being family oriented, but now it's
Disney,
it's now,
especially.
oh yeah, sorry, Disney, yeah, and now
Yeah.
it's gonna delve into a bit of more mature themes and content,
and this is falling into the whole multiverse saga. So
which
all the properties are gonna come to a head.
Tom Wamsgans is in there. I'm really excited about that.
We love seeing Matthew McFadden.
It's gonna be good.
It's just British Tom, and he just has to be like, "Let's go. I'll show you the ropes." His character name is Paradox. So everyone is like, "Is he a variant of Mobius?"
Oh,
Something like that. Yeah. As soon as they showed the TVA agents, everyone's like, "It's happening."
Yeah. That's the thing that freaked me out
It's
already. I was like, "Oh wow, they're really like interweaving it." So good. Bubs, you haven't seen it, eh?
No, I'm looking. Well,
So
I haven't seen
live
it.
reaction,
haven't seen
live
it.
reaction. Going to see it.
Looks good.
But yeah, so that will be released. That's the only Marvel movie that's going to be released this year. On July.
Really?
Yes, because everything's been pushed back. Everything's been pushed back with the strike and all that. Which is going to lead into so Deadpool and Wolverine is going to come out later this year in July. For next year, Thunderbolts will be coming out in May 2, 2025.
Which I'm starting to lose my interest already, to be honest.
And we will touch on why. It got moved forward by 2 months, but they're going to start filming next month. They were supposed to start filming last year, but of course the strike happened, so nothing could happen with writing the actors. And unfortunately, due to that push schedule, 2 of the actors we were pretty excited about joining that project had to drop, which was Io Debris and Stephen Ewan, who were committed to other projects. Well, of course, Io is dealing with The Bear.
Yeah.
They're starting to shoot this month. And
Is The Bear going to be this year?
Yeah,
yes,
in June.
in June. We love to see shows that are still coming back every once a year. That's the thing. And yeah, Stephen Ewan, I believe he's committed to a project from the same director who did Minari.
Yeah.
Which is like, look, fair enough. Like, we get it.
Priorities, you know, guys.
It's a bit of a loss, but also, you know, people joke, oh, they dodged the bullet. But
look, to be fair, right? Like, it sounds like a good idea. But there's only so much that Florence Pugh can do for
Can carry.
right? Like,
Who's Florence Pugh?
she's Yelena.
yeah,
Yes.
Yes, she's because this is Thunderbolts is meant to be like the anti-hero team.
Yeah.
And the rumors that have surrounded, I believe it's meant to be about rumors that were circulating on Twitter is that it's meant to deal with adamantium is going to be discovered in the celestial that was killed in Eternals that's stuck in the ocean.
that thing, the thing that
hasn't been mentioned for
all.
like 3 years. And basically all these countries start fighting over the resource because Harrison Ford's gonna come in as a General Ross.
Yes.
And it's part of the Thunderbolts mission, basically, to try to recover some of the adamantium through Julia's character, Valentina, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's assembling them. She's the Nick Fury to them.
Wait, so this is kind of like Suicide Squad vibes, yeah?
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
Like-
but it's more, just anti-heroes. Like,
Yeah.
these guys all have shady pasts, giving them
But they're
a
actually going to
chance.
do something good. Yeah.
Not as violent as Suicide Squad, I think is
Or as boring.
and so those were the
Potentially.
rumors that I've heard about, but we'll see how it goes because now they've recast the roles, and so then they'll be filming that. And the reason why it was moved up from May 2, it was moved up from July 2025 because that's when Fantastic Four will be coming out, and they officially announced the casting.
The worst kept secret.
That we've known for about like 3 months.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly. So, rolling through it again. The rumored cast for so long has been confirmed with Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joe Quinn, and Ebon Moss Baccarat.
Cousin, come through.
Cousin Richie, and it's actually funny. This is his second Marvel role.
Wait, what was he before?
He was in the Punisher series,
Okay.
Netflix Marvel.
We never watched that. Eh?
So that's why people were like, "This is his second role." But like, look,
Chris Evans has technically done the same thing.
Gemma Chan,
yeah.
it's allowed.
What of it?
It's allowed. Yeah.
What of it?
So yeah, it was announced on Valentine's Day. All the cast were posted the picture, the hand drawn poster. Mm-hmm. And it's like
all you need is love.
A revamped style because it seems that it's being insinuated that this movie will be set in the 60s.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting in terms of what's going to, how would that place in the timeline? When do they come in?
They get brought in.
Is this going to be like an eternal sort of situation where it's like, where did they go?
Or it's like,
how did they come? Yeah.
Basically Captain America, right? Origin story. Like redux.
Well, yeah. Well, the rumors I've seen is that they're going to kind of they'll fast forward through the whole origin, how they got the powers, jump into because.
But I mean, like how they're from an old time and then they come into the new time.
True. Maybe some traveling. We don't know. So it's interesting because initially John Watts of the Spider-Man movies was originally attached to direct the movie. But then was replaced by Matt Shackman, who did WandaVision.
Ooh.
So, which kind of makes sense then if they're going for a different era kind of style. So, I like how they're bringing in previous Marvel talent to be like, all right, we're going to put you on here. Can you try this out? And hopefully it'll go a good direction. I believe it will. I will say when the cast was finally announced... look, I love all the actors, like some more so, but I have no qualms with any of them. Like I think, especially like Vanessa Kirby, she's such a great actress. She's almost comic accurate in terms of the look of the character. Pedro, everybody loves Pedro. I feel like this is the kind of role he's been waiting out to receive from Marvel, maybe because this is very much the front lead or one of the front leads of something so iconic. And then Joe Quinn, I saw him in Stranger Things. I think he's charismatic enough to be Johnny Storm. And of course,
I don't know anything of him, and it's gonna be hard to, because Chris Evans is obviously the
one that comes to mind.
The one that comes to mind.
Briefly, Michael B. Jordan when they tried
doesn't make sense.
They tried to shake it up, but we don't talk about that Fantastic Four adaptation. And then of course cousin Ebon
gonna be great.
I think he's gonna be really great as Ben Grimm's. But when I was discussing this with one of my friends who's a big Marvel head, I do feel like at the end of the day, this casting is a safe choice.
Do you think so? Because wouldn't the safe choice actually be Crunt?
They technically are in a different multiverse because John Krasinski was in the one where he got shredded, spaghettified.
But they'd be so cute.
But it's kind of safe in terms that they have banked on these actors who are riding the waves of popularity. They're not going in the original phase 1 way of casting unknowns. Which is the way that they used to do it. No risk taking on unconventional castings or unknown actors.
Arguably, Pedro can carry it, in the sense of if you didn't know the other three,
yes,
you kind of
Pedro.
Pedro, and you probably could also be. Wait, I can't see it, but he can do nothing wrong. So
he can be science man. Yeah. He'll be stretchy science man.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's interesting that for this project they have banked on popular actors because
you can't have another dud, right? It's you kind of kickstarting another major potential franchise.
Because otherwise they usually bank on bigger actors if they're trying to do unknown characters, but Fantastic Four are pretty iconic
Yeah.
and well known as it goes, because
It'll be the third round.
and which coincidentally, there's always been a new adaptation of Fantastic Four every 10 years. So 2005, 2015, and then 2025. So maybe it's just some tradition
Coinkedy?
that that Fantastic Four is just gonna be
Like, oh guys,
redone.
R.I.P. It's gonna bloody expire.
Redone every
We're gonna
year.
put it in again, and
But like truly, I think I can at least vouch for. Like, I'm sure all four of them are going to embody the characters very well, because they're going to have to do filming this like very soon, actually. Because I saw that Pedro had to reschedule shoots for like The Last of Us to be able to fit in for Marvel. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. So
hopefully, maybe the potential
can
turn
fix,
around.
yeah, can
for
fix
Marvel.
things up. Yep, exactly. But yeah, otherwise that'll be out in July next year. But so otherwise it's like the ones we're looking for right now: Deadpool and Wolverine, Thunderbolts, and then Fantastic Four.
Other movies as well, I think, is of interest. The Fall Guy, it's going to be great.
Yes, Wicked Part 1.
And then, has anyone seen Godzilla X
No.
King Kong?
Look,
I just saw the trailer. I'm like, what the heck is happening?
I'm sorry, I don't really pay attention to Americanized Godzillas. I go watch Godzilla -1 instead. The Japanese ones are superior, like truly.
Yeah, sure,
Honestly.
Godzilla.
Okay, all right. So let's wrap up with the entertainment, and we'll quickly conclude with some tech.
What you call it? Everyone's favorite topic on this show.
Oh god.
AI.
AI.
Ugh.
So this thing is developing at a really quick rate. So the latest iteration of it is called Sora. So Sora is
How do you spell it?
Sora. I'm more interested in how they come up with these names. But anyway,
Grok.
Sora. Yeah, Grok. Jesus Christ. So Sora is created by OpenAI. Our mates at OpenAI, Sam Altman, is back at it again. Is a text-to-video AI model developed by OpenAI. It takes a textual description as input and generates a realistic video based on the description. This means you can literally blah, blah, blah. Anyway, dude, this is...
I already hate it. I'll
This
just say
is...
that.
You'll definitely hate it, but like... Can I show you how realistic this is? So this
Is it basically like deep fakes?
No. Don't think of it as deepfakes. But
you show it. You show the.
so you type in a
first
prompt,
one.
Yeah.
and I'll read the prompt that the person typed in, and see how realistic this image is. This is how specific this prompt is. A stylish woman walks down a Tokyo street filled with glowing neon and animated city signage. She wears a black leather jacket, a long red dress, and black boots, and carries a black purse. She wears sunglasses and red lipstick. She walks confidently and casually. The street is damp and reflective, creating a mirror effect of the lights many pedestrians walk about. This is a prompt. It
Quite
creates
too long of a
but
description.
no. But the main thing is you see how specific it is, right?
Yeah.
That's how realistic it is.
All right, live reaction.
What the
Yeah.
heck?
Okay, so
And I know that, like, it's like I could be like,
That's-
I know that street.
okay, so yeah, hold up, right? So that's one thing, right? Let me show you another thing, right? A gorgeously rendered papercraft world of coral reef with colorful fish and sea creatures. Dude.
That's not as good though.
No, but
That looks fake.
it's not the fakeness. It's how specific
it's-
your
yeah,
prompts
yeah.
are and how nice the output is. Check this out, right? So this is where, like, this thing starts getting like silly, right? And already, this is just gonna kill animators. Like,
Yeah.
a movie. This is the prompt: a movie trailer featuring the adventures of a 30-year-old spaceman wearing a red wool knitted motorcycle helmet. That's fine. It's just they're being ultra specific on the prompt, but check this out. Shot on a 35mm film. Oh my God. Like that is ultra specific. And all that means is you're getting the 35mm. Look at that. That's AI.
What the hell?
Dude. So look, we've seen iterations of AI, but I mean, you tell us, Kat, I know why you'd hate this, but this is like, how do animators stay on a job I don't know what the cost structure or something like this would be. I also think that the hardware required that is insane how detailed and deepfake. So Sumit was telling me, Sumit, he was saying like, dude, they're releasing this in an election year. Like if you type in Joe Biden saying the following things, I was saying, dude, it's not going to be realistic. But when I looked at this is nuts.
Yeah,
this is actually like you could
they've
say
got people down to a pat,
video
right?
of Tucker Carlson or like you know what I mean. Like there's just no depth to the imagination. Right now, the limitation is a minute and not more. But what do you think? Like
not good.
Like this is
Danger,
insane.
danger. Danger, Mr. Robinson.
It's impressive though. It's really impressive. Like this just looks nuts.
It's like it's soul crushing, I feel. Obviously I've made my stance known. I'm very anti AI when it comes to being a threat against human creativity. Like I've seen a bunch of tweets of people trying to be like, oh, I'm a filmmaker, I made this when I put it into the bloody search engine or whatever of that AI. And it's like, you don't know filmmaking, what it is, of how many people, the actual human presence, the heart.
Otherwise, everything becomes generic,
Look,
right?
Yes.
Look, I will say something, right? Like, I get what you guys are saying. And the best example for this is like, you know, when you take a photo on your phone camera, it does all the work for you, right? Mm-hmm. And we're okay with that, right? But to take a photo on a DSLR is like we've gone. It's hard work, right? You need to frame, you need to do that, and that's a little bit to the elements there. So definitely, look, we don't know where this is going to go. Right now, the limitation is 1 minute. Obviously, it's not going to be the end limitation of it. Think of it. There is definitely an element where it's like something like this will crush animators, like for sure. Like because it's going to be, I don't know again what the cross structure is, but for big studios, you can see them negotiating. Like, why would you pay an animator if you have, I don't know, a license of whatever, and you can literally create your prompts, right?
I mean, they're probably going to go on strike this year.
Yeah, like it straight away, you can see that, right?
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they are, right?
I think they're planning to. Yeah.
But can I give you a different like view of the world, right? So if the new generation comes up with this in their toolkit, the end output of what you create is now constructed in your mind. Like you can literally create something. We could have people at age 7 creating full feature length movies. And yes, it's AI based, but if the main thing is, if you are able to commoditize the cost of this at a certain point, you would hope that there are other ways of showcasing creativity. But what I'm saying is like right now, the biggest distributor of video is YouTube, right? And right now you have people doing that with cameras and stuff like that there. And hopefully and the word is hopefully, that will never go away is the essence of the human soul, a personality, a viewpoint. But that could even be at stake.
I found my actual like counterpart example to the enhanced games.
It took towards the end of the episode. We got there, guys. Hold on to it. Don't let it go.
But you know what I mean? Let's just say we've been to the Europe, right?
Yeah.
So I'm creating a vlog. Shit, man. I don't want to buy like a drone. Like it's so expensive. I could create like literally one of it.
I want an aerial shot of the Amalfi Coast.
It's there.
Overseeing the water and the buildings, and like let's go to.
It's there. So that doesn't now it doesn't.
Well, that's technically not Amalfi.
Yeah, but like there, but you know what I mean, right? Like, okay, there's exactly an Amalfi here for that point, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like the limit of creative. Like,
Why question? Yeah. This is just me like processing. Like, why are we using like AI to? And I get that it's all about automation and kind of making like the oh, okay, cool. making the menial like kind of the what is deemed menial, like get it done really quickly, right? Mm-hmm. But why is the focus in these areas? Like, I mean,
these are the demand areas, though. They're the use
are they
cases.
the demand areas, though?
They are.
Like what? So from the studios, basically,
not necessarily only studios, but like firstly, like the base level was answering questions and prompts, right? The whole impetus of AI is hopefully to make things more efficient, right? At a certain sort of level, right? If it can create graphs for you that you'd normally spend there, and you can direct it there, it would save your time to hopefully do things that AI hopefully can't do, which is generate human relationships and blah blah blah.
How to do surgery?
Yeah. So I think like
Next minute.
so you have text.
gosh.
What follows text? Video. What follows video? Text and video and audio. Like it's the senses. I'm just intrigued to see like what walls is it going to break. Will we be able to start getting smells and taste? Like how does that work? You know what I mean? Like
It's become sentient.
it's just it is becoming sentient, but like this is generally impressive, but it's also scary the rate at how quickly
the rate
it's
that it's
improving.
coming in.
So what to me is scary about this is generally like you can see if like what made mobile phone, like there was a time when it was really expensive to get a mobile phone, right? Like so whoever had a mobile phone had a
the brick was very
theoretical
expensive.
advantage, right? Because of the cost of it. Now people in India all over the world have a mobile phone. Tech like this, I'm really intrigued to see how it is propagated to the entire world, because if, you know, the new generation of children get like exposed to this or view there, and there's a certain you know what I'm trying to get at, right? If it's not spread equally about, then you have a real power imbalance between people because of how astronomically like this could be the difference between you submitting a really good essay. Like think of now the scale of
Enhanced games.
Yeah, like it sucks, right? But like
It
No, but
is.
it's not. Like the integrity of everything is now thrown into limbo, right? Where it's
The fact that there have to probably be more implemented protocols to be able to determine what is AI and what isn't, but it's the fact that it's AI's mission probably to try and make it as realistic as possible, which is just like where does reality end and the fake begin?
yeah, like it's gonna be really interesting. But what next? I actually don't know what next.
I don't want to.
I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
You know what next? But think of this tech, right? Oh, chance. We could now say for AI or whatever to create, when you're teaching history, right? For a lot of people, like it's just hard to create a scene in Normandy.
Give me the cliff notes of Putin's speech
No, but what I mean is you could literally
in a 1 minute video that is animated with the.
Do you remember back in the day when you'd watch in like your school like a video of like the World War or something like, and you have these
And it's
really
like black
old
and white
videos
and it's grainy,
stuff
can't
like
see
that.
anything.
And now you can.
I want it in 4K and I want it immersive and being able to see it in my Apple, whatever the heck this is called.
Vision Pro
thingamabobber.
thing.
A 1 minute.
And I want to be immersed into it. Legit. That's
Create a 1 minute
Boy.
fight between a Brontosaurus and a T-Rex, where the Brontosaurus is winning 70% of the time, but the T-Rex eventually wins. Emphasize the short arms element.
Close up.
But what, 35 millimeters on the T-Rex arms and show me a buck tooth. All I'm just saying is I get that it sounds bleak and that, but like we have been exposed, or our generation, relax, one version of creativity, right? Like it's for better or for worse, it's going to be much more different, and it's going to be a completely different world. Heck, we might be able to get like a robot dog so that Chauncey lives forever.
Where we download her presence.
download her
into-
presence.
Yeah.
Literally the
Oh,
creator
gosh.
coming into play now.
We put a chip in her that she lives forever.
Cincinnati will live forever.
See,
yeah,
wouldn't you
with
like
us.
that version of AI? She's like, I love this a lot.
Well, again, it's a matter of it'll be hard to pick and choose.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
we'll see from there. Otherwise, that wraps
We're
up this
done.
week's episode, guys. We had some pretty serious bookends, but there was some fun stuff
Some
in between.
doozies. Hey.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Comment on whatever we've discussed.
Tell us your predictions of, what's going to happen next in either the in any
Immediate
of the topics
year.
any of the topics we discussed today.
Exactly. Make sure you can listen to the episode on Spotify. Also, what we plugged at the beginning, check out the vlogs, the walk, our United Cup one,
Tell us what you want to see next.
All the content.
The next vlogs. Maybe we'll do some food stuff. Who knows?
Oh,
Very soon. See you next week, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
bye.